In the depths of the ancient world, where shadows danced and whispers echoed through the caverns of the underworld, a secret lay buried, one so profound that even Hades, the lord of the dead, dared not tread too close. This secret was not just a figment of myth, but a reality that could alter the very fabric of existence. It was a secret held by Zeus, the king of the gods, a being of immense power and authority whose thunderous voice commanded respect across the heavens and the earth. Zeus, with his flowing beard and piercing gaze, had always been regarded as the ultimate arbiter of fate. His decisions shaped the destinies of mortals and immortals alike. Yet, beneath his majestic exterior, there lay a fear, an anxiety that gnawed at the edges of his divine consciousness. The secret he harbored was one that could potentially unravel the delicate balance between the realms of the living and the dead. It was a secret that had been passed down through the ages, a truth that had been hidden away from even the most astute of deities, including Hades himself. The inception of this secret began long ago, during the primordial chaos when the cosmos was still forming. In those early days, Gaia, the Earth Mother, and Uranus, the sky, gave birth to the Titans, a race of powerful beings who ruled the universe. Among them was Kronos, a Titan whose ambition knew no bounds. Fearing a prophecy that foretold his downfall at the hands of his own offspring, Kronos devoured each of his children upon their birth, leaving Rhea, his wife, in despair. But Rhea, determined to save her youngest son, Zeus, concealed him in a cave on the island of Crete, and tricked Kronos into swallowing a stone instead. As Zeus grew, he learned of his siblings' fate and vowed to confront his father. With the help of the Cyclopes and Hecatoncheires, he overthrew Kronos, liberating his siblings and establishing the reign of the Olympians. Yet in the aftermath of this victory, Zeus discovered something troubling. In the depths of the underworld, hidden away in a labyrinthine chamber, lay the remnants of a primordial force, a dark essence that had been sealed away by the Titans eons ago. This force was known as the Shadow of Oblivion, a being that thrived on despair and chaos, capable of consuming entire worlds. Zeus understood the gravity of this discovery. The Shadow of Oblivion was not merely a creature, but a concept, a manifestation of all that was lost, all that had been forgotten. If unleashed, it could corrupt the very souls of the deceased, turning the underworld into a realm of eternal torment and despair. Hades, the ruler of the underworld, had always been wary of the shadows that lingered in his domain, but he had no knowledge of the true nature of this entity. Zeus made a fateful decision: to keep the existence of the Shadow of Oblivion a secret, even from Hades, for he feared that the Lord of the Dead would seek to harness its power for himself. As centuries passed, the secret weighed heavily on Zeus. He had sealed the chamber with divine magic, ensuring that no mortal or god could access it. Yet the knowledge of the Shadow of Oblivion gnawed at him, haunting his dreams and influencing his decisions. He became increasingly protective of the underworld, sending storms to shield it from prying eyes and ensuring that the balance between life and death remained intact. But secrets have a way of revealing themselves, and the threads of fate are often woven in unexpected ways. One fateful day, a mortal hero named Orpheus descended into the underworld, driven by love for his wife, Eurydice, who had succumbed to an untimely death. Orpheus, with his enchanting music, managed to charm Hades into allowing him to retrieve Eurydice, but only under the condition that he would not look back until they had reached the surface. As they made their way back, an overwhelming sense of dread washed over Orpheus, a feeling that something was amiss in the underworld. Unbeknownst to Orpheus, the vibrations of his lyre had awakened the attention of the Shadow of Oblivion, which stirred from its slumber, sensing the emotions of love and loss that permeated the air. Hades, feeling the shift in the atmosphere, grew uneasy. He had always been attuned to the ebb and flow of souls, and the presence of a dark force threatened to disrupt the delicate balance he maintained. As Orpheus reached the threshold of the living world, he succumbed to the temptation to look back, and in that moment, everything changed. Eurydice vanished, consumed by the shadows that had been awakened. Hades, furious at the breach of trust, felt the weight of the shadows pressing against his realm. He sought to quell the turmoil, but the shadow of oblivion was now free, its essence intertwining with the souls of the lost, spreading despair like a plague. Hades, realizing the gravity of the situation, summoned his council of spirits, desperate for a solution to contain the chaos that threatened to engulf his realm. Meanwhile, Zeus, perched atop Mount Olympus, sensed the disturbance in the underworld. The skies darkened, and thunder rumbled ominously as he summoned his fellow gods. Athena, wise and perceptive, sensed the tension in her father's demeanor. "What troubles you, father?" she inquired, her voice steady yet laced with concern. Zeus hesitated, the weight of his secret pressing heavily upon him. "There is a darkness that stirs in the underworld, a force that threatens to consume all," he finally admitted, his voice grave. Athena's brow furrowed. "What darkness? You speak as if you know something we do not." Zeus hesitated again, the memories of the shadow of oblivion flooding back. "It is a secret I have kept for too long, one that I feared would bring ruin if revealed. The shadow of oblivion was sealed away by the Titans, a primordial entity that thrives on despair. It has awakened, and Hades is unaware of its true nature." The gods exchanged worried glances, understanding the implications of Zeus's revelation. "We must act quickly," Poseidon declared, his voice booming like the waves crashing against the shores. "If the shadow spreads, it will not only consume the underworld, but will seep into our realm as well." Zeus nodded, the gravity of the situation weighing heavily on his shoulders. "We must confront Hades and devise a plan to contain the shadow before it is too late." As the gods descended into the underworld, a palpable tension filled the air. The once serene realm of Hades was now shrouded in an unsettling gloom, the souls of the departed restless and agitated. Hades, standing at the threshold of his domain, sensed their arrival. "What brings you to my realm?" he asked, his voice echoing through the cavernous halls. Zeus stepped forward, the weight of his revelation heavy in the air. "Hades, we come with urgent news. The shadow of oblivion has awakened, and it threatens to consume your realm." Hades's expression darkened, his eyes narrowing as he processed the information. "You speak of a force that has been sealed away for eons. How could this happen?" Zeus explained the events that had unfolded, the awakening triggered by Orpheus's descent, and the subsequent chaos that had ensued. Hades's demeanor shifted from disbelief to concern. "If the shadow is free, we must act swiftly to contain it. But how?" Athena, ever the strategist, stepped forward. "We must gather the souls that have been touched by the shadow and seal them away, drawing upon their collective strength to contain its essence. We can create a barrier, a prison that will hold the shadow until we can find a permanent solution." Hades nodded, understanding the gravity of the plan. "But we must tread carefully. The shadow feeds on despair, and if we are not cautious, it will manipulate our emotions, turning us against one another." As the gods and Hades devised their plan, they felt the oppressive weight of the shadow pressing against them, an invisible force that sought to exploit their fears and insecurities. The air crackled with tension as they ventured deeper into the underworld, gathering the lost souls who had been affected by the darkness. Each soul they encountered carried with it a fragment of despair, a story of loss that resonated with the shadow's essence. With each soul they gathered, the atmosphere grew heavier, the shadows lengthening and twisting in unnatural ways. Hades, standing at the center of the gathering, felt the pull of the shadow as it sought to ensnare him, whispering promises of power and control. "Stay strong," he urged his fellow gods, his voice steady despite the turmoil surrounding them. "We must not let it sway us." As they continued their efforts, the shadow began to manifest, taking on a form that was both terrifying and alluring. It appeared as a swirling mass of darkness, tendrils reaching out to grasp at the hearts of the gods, seeking to exploit their fears and doubts. Zeus, feeling the weight of responsibility, stepped forward, his thunderbolt crackling with energy. "We will not be consumed by your darkness," he declared, his voice echoing with authority. The shadow recoiled momentarily, sensing the strength of Zeus's resolve, but it was not easily deterred. "You cannot escape your own despair, Zeus," it hissed, its voice a chorus of lost souls. "You are burdened by the weight of your secrets, the guilt of your past. Embrace the darkness, and I will grant you power beyond your wildest dreams." Zeus felt the pull of the shadow, memories of his own failures and regrets flooding his mind. But he drew upon the strength of his fellow gods, their unwavering loyalty bolstering his resolve. "I am not alone," he proclaimed, turning to Athena, Hades, and the others. "Together, we will face this darkness." With renewed determination, the gods focused their energies, channeling their collective strength into a barrier that would contain the shadow. As they forged the prison, the shadow writhed and twisted, attempting to break free, but the combined will of the gods proved formidable. Hades, drawing upon his dominion over the dead, summoned the souls they had gathered, binding them to the barrier, their collective despair transformed into a shield. In a climactic moment, the barrier flared with light, illuminating the darkness that had threatened to consume them. The shadow let out a deafening roar, a cacophony of anguish and rage, as it was finally contained within the prison forged by the gods. The oppressive atmosphere began to lift, the weight of despair dissipating as the souls found peace once more. As the dust settled, Zeus turned to Hades, a newfound respect blossoming between them. "You have always been the guardian of the underworld, Hades. I should have trusted you with the truth." Hades nodded, a flicker of understanding passing between them. "And I should have been more vigilant. The underworld is not just a realm of the dead. It is a reflection of the living. We must remain vigilant against the darkness that seeks to exploit our fears." With the shadow of oblivion contained, the gods returned to Olympus, their bond strengthened by the trials they had faced together. Zeus, having learned the importance of trust and transparency, vowed to never again hide the truth from his fellow deities. The underworld, while still a realm of shadows, was now a place of hope, where the souls of the departed could find solace. In the aftermath of their confrontation with the shadow, the gods established a new order, one that recognized the interconnectedness of life and death. Hades, no longer just the ruler of the dead, became a guardian of balance, working alongside Zeus and the other gods to ensure that the realms remained in harmony. The secret that had once divided them became a lesson in unity, a reminder that even the most powerful beings must confront their fears and embrace the light amidst the shadows. As time flowed like a river, the story of the shadow of oblivion became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the darkness that lurked within and the strength that comes from facing it together. And so, the legacy of Zeus, Hades, and the other gods endured, a testament to the power of truth, the importance of trust, and the unbreakable bonds that tie them to the realms they watched over.